Manchester City held youngster back. Now he is ready to be unleashed by Pep Guardiola. Manchester City will make a number of changes to their team for Huddersfield, and Devine Mukasa could be one of the main beneficiaries. Pep Guardiola had too big a squad for too long. The influx of January signings worked to stabilise the team amid their injury crisis, but as more players returned, it made for some uncomfortable decisions for match days. The Manchester City boss believes that a smaller group is needed for competitiveness and trust, with anyone who feels like they aren't a valued member of the group, with the chance to play every week losing motivation and failing to push their teammates as a result. Having won what he has won, there is plenty of evidence to back up the theory. It meant, though, that when City signed another 4 players at the beginning of the summer window, Guardiola made the call not to include any youngsters in his squad for the Club World Cup. The summer is usually the best opportunity for academy players to get themselves in front of the manager, but this time there was no chance. Except for the only friendly of pre-season, where despite a squad that still needed cutting, Guardiola opted to include Devine Mukasa, a young forward a few weeks shy of his 18th birthday at the time. Mukasa came on in the second half against Palermo and impressed, including some nice link-up play for a Tijani Reinders goal. Guardiola was happy enough that when he encountered more first-team injuries at the beginning of the season, Phil Foden, Ryan Cherki and Savinho were all absent. He called up Mukasa as well as Ryan McAdoo and Ryan Heskey to train with the team. Mukasa has been on the bench for the last 3 games, against United, Napoli and Arsenal, and will make his senior debut at Huddersfield. That Mukasa has been spotted is a nod to, among other things, his flair and ability to take risks for goals. City crashed out of the UEFA Youth League quarter-finals to a last-minute winner after Mukasa had tried to be too clever from the penalty spot. Yet in the previous round he had got them through with a Panenka from the spot that hit the bar and bounced down over the line. He was prolific with goals and assists for the under-18s last season, attracting scouts to games and clubs to City's door in summer, wanting to take him on loan. Rejected parties were told that he was wanted close to the first team. That fast-tracking is only a result of a delay, though. Having arrived into the under-18s from West Ham in 2023, Mukasa was actually kept back a year rather than pushed up to the under-20s like most of his age group in order to build his rhythm and confidence up. The first 6 months were tough, especially with City playing such a different way and the high standards from the club, he told the Manchester Evening News in April. It wasn't just me getting used to the club. It was the staff getting used to me, what my attributes are, trying to help me optimise them. It was a little bit tough. Getting used to the system and adjusting it a little bit has helped as well. It was that sense of freedom that I had at my previous club. I didn't get it at first, but that's natural. The coaches are used to having a set structure, so I can't just come in and change that. It took some getting used to. I did the job that was expected of me, staying down. I was expected to dominate a bit more this season, help lead the team. I think I've done that. It's been a good season. For my own confidence and relationship I've built with the managers, playing all the time has helped me a lot. Mukasa's time with the under-21s this season has already been affected by his involvement with the first team. But as he prepares to play for Guardiola at Huddersfield, staying behind has parachuted the teenager to the front of the manager's door, knocking for opportunities. Pep Guardiola press conference live Manchester City injury latest, and Erling Haaland update of Carabao Cup tie Manchester City news, as Pep Guardiola previews the Carabao Cup tie against Huddersfield Town and reflects further on dramatic Premier League draw with Arsenal-Manchester City kick off their Carabao Cup campaign on Wednesday night with a trip to League One side Huddersfield Town. The Blues were serial winners of this competition early in Pep Guardiola's tenure, but have not lifted the trophy since beating Tottenham in 2021, their 4th successive success in the Carabao Cup. City will be huge favourites to overcome a Huddersfield side who are 5th in the 3rd tier, even if Guardiola will likely heavily rotate his side. The Etihad chief picked the same 11 for 3 successive games last week, and Wednesday's trip to Yorkshire offers the chance for several fringe players to be given a run out. Guardiola will provide the latest team news and an injury update, as well as further reflecting on that dramatic 1-1 Premier League draw with Arsenal on Sunday. He is due to face the media at 12:30 p.m, and we will have all the updates right here in the blog, so stay with us. Pep Guardiola wore a smile rather than a Jose Mourinho mask as he walked into his press conference a few days after the Arsenal game. Unashamed to talk up the defensive approach that has got people making comparisons since Sunday, Guardiola was unafraid to talk up the point they got, as well as he saw more positive signs from the performance that the players are doing what they used to do when they were winning titles, rather than last season when it all came apart. Their hopes of another Carabao Cup triumph are not as high as they might have been though, because of the injury problems that have built up again at the Etihad. A bruising week that featured Napoli, United and Arsenal, including less than 3 days to recover and prepare for the latter, does not leave many fresh for Wednesday, and Guardiola confirmed that there will be academy players involved. Pep Guardiola said that Abdulkadir Kusanov is already looking like a prime Kyle Walker, as he raved about the defender's start to the season. The January signing has started the last 3 games at right back and is now seen as a credible option in the position. City did not buy a right-back in the summer transfer window, despite the wishes of many fans. Ryan Ait-Nouri arrived at left-back in a market where the Blues spent £175 million, but new sporting director Hugo Viana did not look to strengthen the other flank. That decision was put under further scrutiny after 2 losses in the opening 3 Premier League matches, where both Rico Lewis and Matheus Nunes had struggled in the role. However, Kusanov has started there for matches against United, Napoli and Arsenal, and impressed in all. He was withdrawn at the break at the Emirates with injury, and City did not look as comfortable defensively after that. Kalvin Phillips will not feature for Manchester City against Huddersfield, but Pep Guardiola did not rule out a comeback at the Etihad this season. Phillips was signed in 2022 to provide competition for Rodri in midfield, but the signing never worked out, and he has spent most of the last 2 years on loan. A summer move was expected, only for Achilles surgery at the beginning of the window to ruin any chance of another opportunity. Having stayed at the Etihad, despite not being part of City's plans, Phillips is training with the first team as he works his way back from injury. Wednesday's Carabao Cup game with Huddersfield could have possibly been an opportunity for minutes, but the 29-year-old is in London with his partner ahead of the birth of their second child. Guardiola suggested that Phillips could yet make an unlikely return to City matchdays, even if that prospect remains remote. Pep Guardiola makes subtle change that speaks volumes for Manchester City manager Pep Guardiola has taken a different approach to his substitutes this season. There have been valid reasons for not going overboard with City wins in the calendar year, with their form such a struggle. They may have eked out a consistency that enabled them to qualify for the Champions League and reach the FA Cup final, but it was clear that problems remained. Corners that looked to have been turned against Juventus in the Club World Cup and Wolves in the Premier League quickly looked like dead ends against Al Hilal, Tottenham and Brighton. Beating United in the derby felt good, and Napoli should go down as an excellent win. Even conceding a late equaliser at Arsenal, where they lost 5-1 last season, should not take the gloss off what has been consecutive steps forward for Pep Guardiola. At the very least, though, it appears that City's manager feels he has more players that he can rely on now. In the 6 matches this season, win or lose, Guardiola has used 28 of a possible 30 substitutions. The Brighton and United games were the 2 fixtures where he only made 4 changes, but otherwise a full 5 were brought off the bench in the course of the 90 minutes. This appears to be a change from what Guardiola used to do, and is a marked upturn on last year. However, looking a little closer into the season shows that even if this start has been unusually high, City struggles last term can be told through their substitutes. Guardiola made 31 of a possible 45 changes in the Premier League between the start of last season and October, averaging 3.4 changes a game. Between January and May, he made 70 out of a possible 95 to bring his average up to 3.7. In the toughest months of the season, though, the manager made just 29 out of a possible 50 changes in 10 games in November and December. With City's injury crisis at its worst, Guardiola not only struggled to fill his bench, but did not have as many players that he felt he could bring on to make a difference. Even if the results haven't quite reflected it, that is clearly different this season. Not just because City are looking to ensure they do not suffer a repeat of their injury issues, particularly after the Club World Cup. Guardiola is using more of his squad on a match day, significantly more than last season. After playing the same starting 11 for the last 3 matches, Guardiola will be looking to rotate most of his team when they head to Huddersfield in the Carabao Cup. And while he may be looking to give some stars a night off, there may still be room for plenty of substitutions on the night to keep everyone as fresh as they can be. Pep Guardiola told he may regret Manchester City transfer decision as forgotten star shines. Issa Kabore is yet to make a senior appearance for Manchester City, but has hit the ground running on his debut during his season-long loan at Wrexham in the Championship. Pep Guardiola has received a warning about a player it's suggested he might fancy bringing back to Manchester City. Fullback Issa Kabore is currently on a season-long loan away from City with Championship outfit Wrexham. Despite never featuring in a senior match under Guardiola since his 2020 arrival, the 24-year-old has made a flying start with the Welsh side owned by Hollywood A-listers Ryan Reynolds and Rob Mack. Kabore made his bow for Wrexham on Saturday, getting the nod at right wing-back as they made the trip to take on Norwich City. The Burkina Faso international made an immediate impression, providing 2 assists for the Red Dragons as they defeated the Canaries 3-2. The victory lifted Wrexham up to 15th position in the second tier following a rocky start to their season, which saw rumours sparked and subsequently dismissed regarding manager Phil Parkinson's future. The ex-Bolton boss